In this video, we're going to be installing a smart RGB LED recessed light kit from Lumary. Lumary reached out to us, asked us if we wanted to review any other products, and one of the things that really popped up on my scale were these. As you can see, we got a 75-inch 4K TV up in the main family room, and we have this row of recessed lights here. And the idea of like syncing not only the TV, but also the recessed lights to any movies or TV shows that we watch just sounds amazing. So thought it would be a nice addition to the room here and a nice transition as I start to make the house a little bit more of a smart house. I haven't done a whole lot of lighting like this inside of my house. So as I'm starting to add more things like up front, out back, and now adding this kit in, it will be really cool to get more and more of those smart functions within the house and see where we can take it. So first off, let's go ahead and open up the kit and see what's inside. Now the normal kit comes with 4 recessed lights, and they are 6-inch lights. Unfortunately, they don't have it in a 4-inch, and that is going to be one of the hurdles that I have here because all 6 of these lights are 4-inch, so I will have to expand them to 6. And stay tuned in the video. I'll show you guys how I have decided to go about that. But I did get the 4-pack kit as well as 2 add-ons that will all work together seamlessly. So the first thing they do include is a hole cutout template that might come in handy. I had kind of a different plan, but I think this actually might work really well. So your user manual, and it is quite thick, so there's going to be quite a bit of data in there, so definitely worth reading. So you do get 4 recessed lights in that main kit, and once again I do have 2 extra lights so I can do all 6. And in the last box we have our controller. Now this is an HDMI switchbox controller, so for it to sync you do have to have an HDMI input onto your TV. So if you currently use the apps built into the TV for most of your viewing, this will not work with that. Ideally you want to have something like a Roku or some kind of an external device, which I mean, this is a Samsung, and the Roku still has far more apps and far more options and works a little better than the built-in ones. So if you're not already using an external device like possibly a Fire TV device, an Apple TV, or something like the Roku that we use on this TV, it's a pretty good idea to upgrade to it. They do offer a lot, even a lot of free programming that you probably don't have on your built-in app systems on your TVs. So, and the cool thing about this one too, you do actually have 3 HDMI inputs as well as the output to the TV. So the cool thing is that this also acts as a switch box. So let's say you have a DVD player, you're going to add your Roku, and then maybe you have a gaming system or something like that. You can sync all of them into this box using those 3 inputs going to the 1 output. So it kind of does double as a 3-channel HDMI selector as well, which is pretty cool. Got a power block here, HDMI cable, self-adhesive backed mounting strips, LED strip. So the LED strip will actually go on the back of the TV, and then the recessed lights will go up top. Now the recessed lights are going to sync with the system via Wi-Fi, so it won't be a ton of wiring. Now looking at the strip, it does appear that it is a 12-volt RGB addressable setup. I cannot make out what the external chip is, but I'm guessing something like a WS2811. So compared to some of the kits that I've seen before, some of the other ones that I've tried, that's not a bad combo. So I'll be very interested to see how it actually looks after everything's hooked up. And now another nice touch that they did on this kit is that they do actually have it already pre-cut into sections. So one of the benefits to that, on a lot of kits that you'll get, it'll just have a run of 1 solid strip, and then you've got to kind of like loop it or something to try to take the bends around the top, the sides, and the bottom. They did actually include a wire to connect it, so then it's going to be very easy for us to get those turns around the corners of the TV. So that is a very nice thing to see that they did. The downside to that will be that you cannot get like a perfect length for top and bottom. So while the strips measure at 48 inches for the bottom and top and 28 inches for the sides, my TV actually measures at 65 inches top and bottom and 38 inches on the side. Now, that's not going to be a huge deal, but it is something to consider if you're trying to fill out the entire TV. It won't be a perfect fit if it's a very large TV, but you know, like I said, those are the dimensions of the strips. You can always get a measurement of your TV. I would imagine something closer to like a 52, maybe even a 60 inch would probably fit really well. 75 and 80, you're going to start to be getting a little bit big, but obviously at the end of this video, we're going to be able to see exactly how it looks on the TV, and I'm not too worried about it. I am actually still really happy that they have the connections here so that I don't have to worry about trying to loop strips, and it's kind of a pain in the butt. So we're going to see how it looks as soon as we get it installed. Now keep in mind, when drilling for recessed lighting in drywall, it can get very dusty. So one thing that you could consider is something like a dust bowl like this, which will actually catch all of that dust into here, and then you can easily dispose of it into a trash can, as well as a drill, and then you will need your 6-inch hole saw. And you do also have our 6-inch template here. And the cool thing about this is that you can actually use it to trace the outline on the ceiling, and you could use something like a reciprocating saw if you do not have access to a hole saw. The hole saw is going to make it quicker and easier, but you can most definitely use it with a reciprocating saw or something like that using this template. First things first, I'm going to go ahead and get everything out of the way, pull the sofa out. That way we can get to the recessed lighting a little bit easier. I'm going to start pulling the lights, old lights out, and marking up for our new holes. So I settled on an acrylic piece. So this is just cut on a laser cutter with acrylic. And as you can see, I have my guidelines here, which I can line up with the hole. So I'll be able to see the sides of the hole through the guidelines. And then I've got 4 holes that I can drill screws into the drywall, and then I've got a center hole where my hole saw center drill bit will go, and that will guide it into the center there. Installing is not very difficult if you do use a bracket like this, and I just did a 5 3/4 outer, and then I measured my 4-inch holes, which were about 4 1/4, and I created those lines, those little slots there. Basically, they're just eye holes so that I can figure out about where center is, right like that. And then I just drill 4 screws in, and that'll hold it in place. And then effectively, I'm just going to cut out with the hole saw around this piece so that I can reuse that piece as many times as I want. And I got my hole saw here. Now this one actually came with its own little dust bucket, which works pretty well. And just like that, we have a 6-inch hole, perfectly centered.
I ended up adding a little bit of wire between the LED strip sections just to make it fit to the edge of the TV. This is only necessary if you have a very large TV like mine.
So the device setup is quite simple. You have the Lumary box itself along with your 3 inputs and your 1 output. You do want to make sure that you're using high quality cables. In addition to that, there are 2 USB connections for your RGB. You have the RGB that goes around the TV, but then they also add the optional light bars to the side of the TV, which would be another USB connection. And then you have your main power, your power connection here, and then your power switch on the front, as well as your select button up front. And then you have your 2 modes here for your Wi-Fi and your Zigbee. Now we're going to be using Wi-Fi just to connect that to the Lumary app on the Wi-Fi system here at the house.